Hey guys, it's Jasmine. Welcome back. Today we are doing another t-shirt and we are starting off in design space on a blank canvas. This is going to be text only, but we will be layering. So this shirt will say Saved by Grace. So I'm going to go ahead and start typing up the text and then we'll work on finding the font that we want. So I'm going to hit text again and type by. I am not doing them all as one set of text and hitting enter to make a new line because the line spacing sometimes I don't like the way it automatically does it. So I rather do them each as individual lines and I can kind of place it how I want it. So now that we have all three lines of our text, I'm just going to arrange them so that you can see it clearly. I'm going to go ahead and select all three, and I'm going to be hitting the arrange button here in a second, and then I am going to center them horizontally so that way everything is lined up the way that I want it. Now that that's done, I'm going to work on the font. At the time I wasn't sure what type of font I wanted, so I was just going to look through. If you don't plan to spend any money, I recommend clicking on system and you'll just be able to choose from the fonts that are included on your device. But if you choose Cricut, or if you choose all the Cricut fonts will be mixed in. If you just choose Cricut, it'll just only show the ones that are like sold by Cricut. There are a couple few ones, but most of them you have to pay for. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a little while to figure out which font I wanted, but ultimately I ended up going with something super plain called Arial, which should be on everybody's computer, for the word saved and the word grace. But feel free to look through whatever fonts you have and choose what works for you. Now for the word by, I knew I wanted something a little more fancy, and something more script like. So I just chose the first one, which is like Agilia. I assume that's how it's pronounced, but I'm not sure. I'm going to bring it to the front so that way it sits over Saved in Grace, so that way I can see it a little more clearly. And then I changed the color so that way it stands out so I could really have an idea of what I want. So now I'm just readjusting the size a little bit to make sure it fits the way that I want it to. Also, always remember to measure the size of your garment if you're putting this on clothing, because you don't want it to be too big and not really fit, or you also don't want it to be too small and look weird. So measure your shirt or your pants, whatever you're going to put this on, and make sure it fits the way that you want it to. So once you have it, the way that you want it, make sure you do any finishing touches. Make sure you check, double check, triple check your spelling, whatever it is you have to do, because you don't want to waste any vinyl, and even more so, you don't want to iron this onto something and then it be wrong. So I'm now ready. I have everything cut out, as you can see, saved in grace, and I have the word by, which is another color. I cut that on a different vinyl. You want to go ahead and take the sticker off your shirt, lint roll it if you have a lint roller, and you should have had your heat press warming up this entire time. Well, not the entire time, but a few minutes before, so that way you're ready to press. So I am using my T-square just to make sure that I have everything where I want it. I don't like my design sitting right on the collar, so I make sure I have a little bit of space between the collar and where my design starts. Also, it helps to make sure that I'm placing it straight and also centered. Now, while the T-square is a great help, it's also not perfect. So once I put it there, I like to still hold it up and take a look at it to make sure that everything is the way that I want it. And if you don't have a T-square, you can use a ruler, you can use fabric measuring tape, anything you can use to help you, by all means do it. So while I used the T-square to make sure this was straight, and it was like perfectly straight this time, I realized that I didn't make sure that it was centered. So I had to go back and center it. So that's why it's always important, like I always say, double check if you have to. So I think it's straight now. Now when you're putting this on your heat press, be careful. I'm not very careful, and I always forget about being on camera, and I am very unsafe. So I don't recommend being unsafe like me. Please be careful. So today I'm using the Caesar Easy Weed Heat Transfer Vinyl. I'm not sure if this is the stretch, but the label says to press it for 10 to 15 seconds. But because I am layering this, I only press it for about 7 to 10 seconds. I don't let it go the full 15 because I have to press it again. So now I'm going to take the word buy and I'm going to layer it on top of the vinyl that I just pressed on. And because this is in cursive writing, I'm not as meticulous because there are no straight lines. Now if this was on a similar type font, I would probably take this off of the press and measure and do all that stuff, check, double check. But because it's that cursive writing and there's no straight lines, there's really no wrong way to put this on here. And I'm going to press this for a full 15 seconds. And now we're done. And that's the easiest layering you can do. And one more quick little note, if you are making this for a client, feel free to iron the bottom of that shirt. You don't want to give that to them wrinkled. I did not.